4D, we're going to talk about 3 different areas that trap a lot of people, can cause problems, but if you're careful and wise in the way that you handle them, they don't have to be a problem in your life. It deals with loan payments, credit cards, and mortgages. Loan payments can come about in the form of things like student loans and stuff like that. Car payments. Okay, those are 2 that come to mind right off as far as loan payments. With a loan payment, you pay the same amount each month. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Credit cards. These are the ones that I will, if I need to, get down on my knees and beg you, don't do it. The only things that we ever put on credit cards at home are things that we know we were going to buy it anyway, and whoa, look, it's on sale. Or if we've got to pay our copay on a medical bill or something or other, it's the rest of our balance on a medical bill. A lot of times anymore, the only way you can pay those is by credit card. We do not use the credit card for day-to-day functioning. And I know there are some people say, but, I get back 1%. I get back 1%. It's a trap. When was the last time you ever heard anybody say, I became a millionaire by my 1% back on my credit card? It doesn't happen. Why do they pay you back that 1%? It's a trap. They're trying to get you into the mindset that the more I use this credit card, the more money they're going to give me. That's what a lot of people think. Hey, if I pay it on my credit card, I'll get money back. Have you ever heard a friend say that? Okay? It's a trap because it has that person in the mindset of, if I use my credit card, I'm making money. What they're really doing is they give you back 1%, but they're charging you 20. Or maybe just 18. Just 18? Yeah. But either way, realize credit cards can be a trap. The third thing, and most of you will probably wind up with this, it's very difficult to avoid these. A mortgage. What do you use a mortgage for? To buy a house. It's kind of hard, especially starting out, to pay cash on a house. Really? You got an extra $300,000? Oh, wait. Can you break a $500,000? Really? That doesn't happen, does it? And for a lot of people, the way that they wind up buying a house is with a mortgage. We're going to talk about a variety of things with mortgages. What are points? What's PMI? What's an ARM? Yes, I know it's this thing that's swinging around, but there are ARMs in mortgages. Okay. How do you save money on your mortgage? Can you prepay your mortgage? What does prepay mean? Why would you want to prepay? And we'll take a look at a little bit of that here today. Okay? But these are some of the things we want to look at. And with credit cards, I really want you to leave this class hating credit cards. Okay? I'll be honest with you. That's one of my objectives in teaching this class is to get you to hate credit cards. Because the number one group that banks advertise for credit cards is college-age people. Why? Why do you keep getting these things for a free introductory rate? Okay? They want to get you going, don't they? They want to get you on a credit card. Research shows that if they can be your first credit card, odds are you will never get rid of that credit card. But it was my first one. I can't get rid of that one. It's like my first baby. I can't get rid of that. Okay? And people keep it their whole life, regardless how badly they treat you. They want to be first in line to get their 20% on everything you spend. So realize that's why they're advertising so heavily, is they're trying to be first in line. They're trying to get you to get a card and get debt on that card. Because once there's debt on it, most people are hooked. And that's it for life. For the rest of your life, you're paying 20% extra on everything buy stuff, is it? Oh, look at that TV. It's $1,000. Yeah, but for you, it's only $1,200. Let me think about that a minute. Actually, it's going to be more than $1,200. Okay, so with any of these, they're all loans. A credit card is a bank loan. I've said it before, I know it, and I'm trying to get it into your head. When you go to Bob Evans, wherever you go to eat, McDonald's is usually about all we afford. When you buy your French fries, if you put them on a credit card, you've just taken a bank loan to buy French fries. Really? A bank loan for French fries? Yep, that's what you've just done. The amount of money that you charge or borrow is the principal. You've seen that word before. Okay? Things like student loans, car payments, and a mortgage on a house are what are called installment loans. It's paid off on a regular basis with equal amounts due every month. Okay? For example, when we bought our first house, I forget exactly what it was, but I think we were supposed to pay about $1,025 a month. So every month, what the credit union wanted from us was $1,025. I always put in extra on that. I tried my level best to always make our payment $1,400. I was giving them an extra $375 every month. And I just told Becky, let's think of our monthly payment as $1,400 and we'll just run our budget off of that. I'll talk about why here in a couple of minutes. Okay? But regardless whether you're paying extra or you're just paying what they're asking you to pay, it's the same every month, which is nice for being able to plan a budget. Because you know, the car payment's going to be whatever it's going to be every month. The house payment's going to be whatever it's going to be every month. It's like with a lot of you, you're working with rent. It's the same every month, isn't it? And you know what it's going to be. It's no big surprise. Okay? The loan term is the amount of time that you have to pay the loan back. For a house, the two standard loan terms are either 15 years or 30 years. 15 years is a little more challenging because you got to pay back more each month. So your monthly payment's going to be higher. But it saves you a lot of money in the long run. A lot. You're talking like an extra $200, Chuck? No, an extra $1,000? No, I'm talking like maybe $100,000 or $150,000. Depends on the house. Depends on the interest rate. How long does it take you to earn and save $150,000? Okay? Going on a 15 versus a 30 can save you that much money. That's a lot of money, especially after taxes. Yeah, but I can't buy as big of a house. It's just extra rooms to sweep and dust. Okay? And pay real estate taxes on. Okay, so I'm going to point out the advantages to reducing the loan term. You can do whatever you want. I'm not going to visit your house and say, what? You got a 30-year mortgage? What are you thinking? Never say it. Never ask anybody, how are you paying your house off? Okay, that's their decision. Okay, oh man, yeah, I've seen something like this before. This one's a little different from the other two. Be careful, be careful. Notice right here in this exponent, what's tucked away in that exponent? A negative. That's real easy to miss. This formula allows you to figure out if I want to borrow. Okay? When Becky and I bought our first house, we borrowed about $140,000. We put about $35,000 down. We borrowed $145,000 or $140,000. So the 140 would go in there. At that point, we did the best we could. Interest rates were different. We got about 7.25. So this would be the 0.075. Okay, what's N? 12. How many payments a year? One a month. 12. And what we then did is figured out what our monthly payments were going to be. With online searches available now, you can very easily figure out on your own what the monthly payment's going to be. If you go online, okay, and what I did, let's back this up. See up here in the upper left, I just did a search under amortization calculator. Amortize means to figure out how much you're going to pay each month, basically. Okay? You have all kinds of calculators available that'll do that for you. Click on any one of them. Okay? And what they will often do is they'll have a setup very similar to this. How much money are you borrowing? For us, it was $140,000. I took it out for 30 years. Did not plan to keep it at 30 years. But with a 30-year payment, if we ran into any problems or hit any hiccups, any surprises, we could drop way back to a lower rate. 30-year loans have a lower monthly payment than 15-year because you've got longer to pay back the money. So you don't have to pay back as much each month. Interest rate, at that time, what did I say, 7 1/4 or 7 and, okay, 7.25, and press calculate. Okay. So there was our monthly payment on our house. $955 a month. But I was paying extra. That's right. Basically, I always tried to keep it at $1,400. So I was putting an extra $450 a month against that payment. Well, why would I do that? What's $450 going to do on a $140,000 loan? That's right. It adds up, and it adds up very quickly. Does this make sense to everybody how to use these things? I want you to be aware that they're there. They're very easy to use. Okay? Not much to them.
So, Chuck.
Yes, ma'am.
So you can take out a 30-year mortgage, but like try to plan yourself to pay it back earlier?
That's right.
Okay.
Okay? When we were looking at the mortgage, one of the first questions I always asked, is there a prepayment or early payment penalty? That means if you pay more and you finish your mortgage early, do they charge you a penalty? Some will charge you thousands of dollars in penalty for paying it early.
Wow.
Yeah. Why would they do that? They want you there for 30 years. Okay? Let's see what happens. What was that? It was $955. And let's say $956. I'm thinking there was some change on it. So let's say it was $956. If I just did this for 30 years, that would be $956 times 12 payments a year times 30 years. Notice that's 360 payments. 12 times 30 is 360. So I would have to pay the bank 360 payments. Okay, well let's figure out what that is. 956 times 360 equals. Well, the bank gets back, or the credit union, I've never dealt with a bank, the credit union gets back $344,160. Well, wait a minute, let's back this bus up. How much money did I borrow? $140. This $344,000 is the total payback. $344,160. Now, the principal was $140,000. Subtract that. How much interest is that bank looking to make on this deal? Over $200,000 in interest. I want you to notice something. Oops. On a house payment, do you pay back more money in principal or do you pay back more money in interest? Interest. The interest is more than the principal. In fact, if we would have let it go for 30 years, we would have bought one house for us and about 1 1/3 houses for the bank, wouldn't we? Does that make sense? Now, this is at 30 years. I paid that house off in 7 years. Becky and I paid that house off in 7 years. She agreed, she moaned, she begged. I took anytime I would get Christmas money, birthday money, Father's Day money, well, not Father's Day, okay? Whatever extra money I got, all of it went straight to the credit union against this house payment. When we got back tax refunds, tax refund, yahoo, let's go out for dinner, right? Oh, wrong-o. I took the check straight to the bank, endorsed it on the back, and said, put it against the loan. When we went to McDonald's to eat, guess what we drank? Water. It's cheaper. It's better for you anyway. Because every extra penny I could wring out of the budget, I mean every extra penny, I think you're kind of getting the idea, went against the mortgage. Well, Chuck, you're just an idiot. Okay? It's going to erase these. Does everybody have these numbers? We paid would have paid $204,000. Let's go back and see what happens if I change this mortgage to 7 years. Now, notice it's still the same $140,000. It's still the same interest rate, but now it's 7 years. Okay? Whoa, dude, that's like a whole lot more. That's like twice what the 30-year rate is, isn't it? Okay, so is 2130. I paid it off, we paid it off in 7 years. So where does that get us? Well, where that gets us, hey, it's all right. It was 2130. Is that accurate? Okay. 12 months in a year, 7 years. 2130 times 12 times 7 equals $178,920. Do you see a little difference here? What was the total payback before? Yeah, it was $344,000. It was almost double that, wasn't it? It was almost double this amount. Now remember, the principal is still the $140,000. If I subtract that, how much interest did we pay? Remember, with the 30-year plan, it was $204,000 in interest. Is there a difference there?
Yep.
How much money did we save by going this route? 204,000. Subtract. We did pay $38,920. saved $165,080. That's more than we borrowed. We saved the entire price of the house. We paid, thinking about it, we paid $174 for it. Was it pretty that 7 years, or was it a little uncomfortable? It was uncomfortable. But 7 years later, how much money do we have extra every month then, 7 years later? Well, let's see, we were used to putting in a total of $2,100 a month. How much money did we now have extra in our budget? How would you like to have an extra $2,100 in your budget? You know how your budget's running. How'd you like to just suddenly, ping, pay line 2, $2,100? Oh, wait a minute, and that's tax-free. It was rough on us for the first 7 years. Rough as in, I'm getting sick of drinking water. I'd love to have a Coke. Yeah, me too. I'm getting sick of whatever. Yeah, me too. Can we ever stay in a hotel when we go on vacation? When we get the house paid for? We're sleeping in a tent till then. But we get to go on vacation. And that was only for 7 years, wasn't it? Is it worth it? It's way worth it. The catch is most people aren't willing to make that sacrifice for a short period of time to get the gain for a long period of time. Okay. You can either sacrifice a lot for a short period, or for the next 30 years, you're going to lose 200,000. What? Oh, 160. You're going to lose $165,000 by going the other way. Is that pop at McDonald's? Is that cable really worth $165,000? Actually, I was kind of surprised. I have a friend that lives down here in the Cincinnati area, and they went back to a regular antenna. Did you know you can get TV on an antenna?
My mom did it.
How many channels can you get in Cincinnati? They're picking up 65 channels. How much do they pay a month for that? Nothing. Nothing. You can get 65 channels a month for free. Did you know that? Really? Really? Hook up the bunny ears. Okay. Does this make sense? Okay. One of the things that happens is when you start paying back a loan, early in that loan, most of the money goes to interest and very little of it goes to the actual principal. When we made our first payment on the house, I was very disappointed. And that really locked into my head, we're killing this loan, man, because it's nuts. Okay? We, at that point of the first loan or payment, owed $140,000. But the first one, I just sent in the $955, which is what we really owed. And let's see, 140 times 0.0725 equals, divided by 12 equals. Okay. So what wound up happening was I sent in $955. And then when I got the statement the next month, the amount that we owed went down. It went down to that. Month 2, I just sent them $1,000, didn't I? And how much did they credit me with? $100. What did they do with the other 800 of it, basically? Stick it in their pocket and said, thanks, sucker. See ya in 28 days. Now, the second month, it wasn't quite so bad. The second month, Whoa, we're making progress. They now credit me. Actually, this is an exaggeration. It was really something closer to that. Now they credited me with sending them how much? $101. I'm $1 ahead of what I was last month. Woohoo! So for every $1,000, I make $1 progress over the previous month. Is that a deal or what? For the bank, not for you though, is it? And when I saw that for 1 or 2 months, that's when it really set it in my heart, man, this is changing right now. Okay? That's what happens. Now, with a loan, what will happen is with each payment, a larger portion of the payment goes against the principal. Because you owe less money, you get charged less interest. And as you get charged less interest, more of that money goes against the principal. And it speeds up because you're paying more and more and more and more against the principal, so the interest is going down, so you're paying more against the principal, and the interest drops even more. Does that make sense? So what winds up happening is, early in the loan, way big chunk of your money goes against the interest, very little against the principal. As things proceed, more and more goes against the principal, and it pays down more and more quickly. Here's one. Student loan, $7,500 when you graduate. 9%, 10 years. Some of you might be in about this position right now. And you're thinking, when I graduate, I'll pay it off. Okay. Well, let's take a look what that's going to look like. $7,500, 9%, 10 years. We'll go right back to here. And the cool thing is this same spreadsheet will work for your student loan. It'll work for any amount. It'll work for your car loan. So I'm going to put in $7,500, the term, 10 years, interest rate, 9%. Notice you don't have to change it to a decimal. It'll take care of that for you. Calculate. Oh, your student loan's only going to be $95.01 a month. Okay, so what does that work out as a total payment? Well, you know how to do this. Okay. The total payment, okay, we know what the monthly payment's going to be. It's $95.01. We just ran that on the computer. How much will you pay back? That's the total payment. The total is going to be this $95.01 a month for 12 months for 10 years. Does that make sense to everybody, how to figure that out? So let's figure out what that's going to be. 95.01 times 12 months times 10 years. Whoa! Now how much did you borrow? $7,500. How much are you paying them back? $11,400. How much interest are you paying on this loan? Well, it's going to be the total payback minus what you really owed. Okay? So if we subtract the $7,500 from that, how much are you paying in interest? A lot of people don't think of it like that. They just think of it as, well, I'm just sending them $95. It's not costing me that much. Okay? But you're paying almost $4,000 to have the use of $7,500. Is that worth it? Remember I said like the first or second day, don't go using student loan money to buy pizzas at La Rosa's and stuff? Really? because it's basically an extra 50% in interest, isn't it? So if you buy a $15 pizza with interest, it's $22. Does that pizza look so good now at 22 bucks? Huh, it's a little bit more expensive. Okay, I worked this out with the last class and said, well, suppose you decide you want to try and pay this off in 5 years. We ran the numbers on that same spreadsheet. It worked out to be about $155.20. Now, remember, the amount you're paying each month's going up, isn't it? Instead of paying $95 a month, you're paying $155 a month. But remember, you're paying them back in half the time. Oftentimes people expect if I'm paying it in half the time, I have to pay twice as much. Does that seem to make sense? Are we paying twice as much? Twice as much would be $190 a month. But in reality, to get it in 5 years, you pay $155.20. Well, let's see what that looks like. 12 months, 5 years. The total amount paid back, 155.2 times 12 times 5. Whoa! The total amount paid back is $93.12. The interest paid at this rate is subtract the $7,500 from this, $1,812. Does it save a lot in interest? Saves you about $2,000. Now, you did pay more each month. Instead of $95 a month, you're paying $155. But for that extra $60 a month, you're getting out of debt 5 years earlier and saving $2,000. That's not bad to start on a vacation. Does that make sense on paying things off earlier and why it's worth doing on anything? How about your car loan? Would this work the same way on your car loan? Exactly the same. Car loans are a classic for spending a whole lot of money on a car. People just don't feel it because, well, I'm just sending in my $325 a month. Make sense? Y'all good? Got to buy a couple of tires in your budget for August? You can start working on, well, the homeworks are all posted up. 4D's posted already. Okay? Go get them.